Fast and Furious' lowest-grossing movie is secretly the franchise's most important film. One of the earliest Fast and Furious movies flopped at the box office, but it is actually arguably the most important film in the series. Nowadays, it's hard to imagine a Fast and Furious film failing at the box office. Over the years, it has evolved into one of the most popular action franchises in Hollywood. The last 6 movies have all grossed at least $700 million, and 2 of them have earned over $1 billion. The upcoming Fast and Furious 11 will also likely be a box office hit, since it is the last movie in the franchise. However, it wasn't always the case that Fast and Furious movies were going to be guaranteed hits. Before it evolved into an action franchise, the Fast and Furious movies focused on street racing. One movie in particular didn't have a huge ensemble cast and epic action sequences that all the recent films in the franchise have. Despite being one of the most well-made and important movies in the series, The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift flopped at the box office. The first Fast and Furious movie focused on the relationship between Vin Diesel's Dominic Toretto and Paul Walker's Brian O'Connor. In the film, Brian was an undercover cop investigating Dom's crew, but the two men ended up forming a special bond. Despite this, Diesel did not return in Too Fast, Too Furious, in which Brian teamed up with Tyrese Gibson's Roman Pierce instead. However, the third film in the franchise, 2006's The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, didn't focus on Dom or Brian. Instead, Tokyo Drift follows Sean, a high school student who is forced to live with his father in Tokyo and gets involved in its street racing scene. The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift is actually one of the best movies in the franchise, but it didn't make much at the box office. Tokyo Drift only made $157 million on a high budget of $85 million. This disappointing box office proved that the franchise needed either Diesel or Walker. Thankfully, Diesel appeared in the post-credit scene of The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift. After the failure of Tokyo Drift, Dom and Brian would be solidified as the two main characters in the Fast and Furious franchise. Even though it is a great movie, Tokyo Drift didn't have enough star power to convince people to see it in theaters. However, one of the best characters in the franchise wouldn't exist without Tokyo Drift. After being introduced in Tokyo Drift, Han quickly became one of the most important characters in the series. Technically, Han is introduced in Justin Lin's 2002 film, Better Luck Tomorrow, but this is not considered to be an official Fast and Furious movie. Therefore, despite playing the same character in both films, Tokyo Drift was the first time that actor Sung Kang showed what kind of character he would be in the Fast and Furious franchise. Han tragically dies in Tokyo Drift, which is the most emotional moment in the film, but also becomes an important plot point in the series since Fast and Furious 6 sheds more light on his death. Even though Fast and Furious 6 came out 7 years after Tokyo Drift, it did not forget about the plot of the film and the character of Han. In the post-credit scene of Fast and Furious 6, it is revealed that Jason Statham's Deckard Shaw is actually the person who murdered Han. Deckard is the main villain of Furious 7, which finally catches up to Tokyo Drift in the Fast and Furious timeline. After this shocking reveal in Fast and Furious 6, Han ended up returning in F9, which saw him reunite with characters from Tokyo Drift. Han also returned in Fast X, the most recent film in the franchise. In Fast X, Han actually encounters Deckard Shaw again years after he tried to murder him. The relationship between these two characters will likely be further explored in Fast and Furious 11. Therefore, even though it is the lowest-grossing movie in the franchise, Tokyo Drift set up many character arcs and plot points for future films in the Fast and Furious series.